up towards the hole like that, and then just let's dig it down right beside it. Would you please? Oh, you seen that there, Kevin? Does that look like quite a contraption to you or what?
That looks like a lot of something.
Good done. Let's go.
From the purchase of this innovative machine that was put together by a renegade miner to the difficult task of dragging this massive machine for hundreds of miles so that it could help the veteran miner and his team reach their gold extracting targets for the season, let us see what Tony Beets did when he discovered an abandoned gold wash plant during Gold Rush. Looks like we're back to observing these gold miners and their crew as they try to make the most of their time in the mines at the Yukon. We all know that it can't be easy, but the likes of Parker Schnabel, Rick Ness, and Tony Beets must take advantage of the fact that gold is currently on an all-time high when it comes to its value. Just take a look at Fred Lewis, who is facing the biggest mining decisions of his mining career. Then there is Rick Ness, of course, who is forced to deal with the shocking events that took place while he and his growing crew were out there searching for gold. As such, he is forced to make decisions that he never knew he would have to face. Even Parker Schnabel is forced to risk it all, as he and his mining crew decide to explore some new ground for the gold that they all covet. They are all aware of the fact that mining is no joke, so they must do all they can to extract all the gold that they can find. That is probably why Tony was excited when he came across a contraption that looked like it would change the course of his gold mining endeavors forever. As the others struggle with the many issues that one would face while they work in the capacity of being mine bosses of their own companies, we have the legendary Tony Beets and his crew who are currently getting ready to get to business while at Dawson City. The veteran mine boss was about to set off on his favorite activity, a helicopter ride. Who doesn't love helicopter rides?
I mean, it's never been this high before. You gotta do something different once in a while.
As we watch the helicopter take off with Tony and some of the members of his crew, we are left to wonder why the longtime miner and his men decided to take what may be considered to be a joyride to some people. After all, some may think they do not deserve such a treat. At that point in time, Tony and his crew were halfway through the season, and they had only been able to collect about a third of their target gold haul of 3,000 ounces. Well, it may provide some solace to the fans who may be worried about what this veteran miner may be up to. Learn that he was only on this helicopter ride because he was on his way to find a way to supplement his team's shortcomings. That's the only thing he can do if he's going to make the most of the record-high gold prices that he and the other gold miners had been noticing in the market. Apparently, they had never been this high, and it would be silly to miss out on this opportunity to make a lot of money. In order to boost their earnings, Tony and his crew decided to follow a lead to a mobile wash plant that may have been abandoned in the middle of the wilderness.
Because the sooner we get that thing out, the sooner we'll go back. Anyway, when we go down the hill, pay kind of attention. She's kind of steep in places.
With the use of this helicopter, they were hoping to locate this massive machine so they could make use of it themselves. Who could blame them? Look at this 35-ton trommel that was designed by an innovative maverick of a gold miner about 3 decades ago. The gold miner was going to make one of the most accommodating and the most efficient wash plants that had ever been designed. And one can see that, thanks to the 40-foot drum that it comes with and the wheels that are used to run it. Alas, this may have been a machine that was more of an idea rather than one that would be a prime example of execution, because it only ran for about a year before it was abandoned by those who made use of it. Well, Tony had a lot of ideas for this innovative piece of equipment because Tony had spent almost $500,000 purchasing it. Bold move by the veteran miner. Despite the fact that it may have only been used for one mining season, it was clear that Tony was excited by this magnificent-looking wash plant.
Oh, you seen that there, Kevin? Does that look like quite a contraption to you or what? Looks like something I would buy?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Not only was it massive and imposing in nature, the machine also looked like it may have been very well built by the designer of the machine. Even the wheels that were fixed on it seemed to stand the test of time, as it still looked like it would be an easy machine to maneuver despite its massive size. Aside from this, once one knows how this machine works, they would easily be able to understand why Tony couldn't stop singing praises when he came across this innovative machine. When one sees how it processes the pay dirt that is fed into it, they would be impressed as to how it spits the tailing right out of the back of the machine. Thanks to the 4 giant wheels that are fixed onto it, the machine can easily be maneuvered after it has sluiced everything within range. That way it could move on to the next location so that it could continue sluicing through another load of pay dirt. Like a kid looking at a new toy, it is clear that Tony is in love with this wash plant. While consulting with other members of the team, it is clear that he can see no reason as to why the 35-ton trommel couldn't change their fortune. Considering that it still looks to be in decent shape, it is clear why Tony decided to take the risk of purchasing this ingenious machine. With this in mind, Tony is eager to relocate the machine so that they could put it together in time for them to continue with their operations. Considering how mobile it is supposed to be, it may even be easier than moving a dredge. At least that's what Tony and the guy thinks. Once they came to this decision that this may change their fortune during this already somewhat disappointing season, Tony relayed how he couldn't resist getting the machine, especially after the owner was forced to stop asking for his original price of about $1 million. Now that he was able to buy the trommel for $400,000 or so, this may prove to be the bargain of the season, and he was delighted with the steel that he was able to get his hands on.
You gotta try this, because otherwise one of these days you're gonna grow old and wonder why you didn't do it. You can afford to do it. If it works, bingo.
Let's just hope that they would be able to use this machine to extract the remaining 2/3 of their target for the season. Once Tony was back at his camp at Paradise Hill, he quickly put together a crew of 7 men so that they could help him use a ton of equipment to get the trommel on the road. As a result, he was forced to put all other operations to a halt while he was dealing with this task of dragging the trommel back to camp. Sure, it may cost them about $60,000 per day, but with luck, they may be able to make it back as soon as the trommel is operational. You gotta spend money to make money. With Mike, Tony's son, and the crew's heavy equipment specialist at the wheel, it looked like the guys were ready to accomplish their mission for the day. As they hit the road, Mike shared that the hardest part of this task may be to get their things across on the ferry. A daunting task when you think about it. Although one may think that this is due to the weight of the machines and the other equipment that they have to transport on the ferry, they may be surprised to learn that it's the length of the equipment that may create the problems that he was worried about. The equipment was about 85 feet long, while the ferry was only 80 feet long. They may not allow him to put the equipment on their ferry, especially as it may be too risky for those on board. If this ends up being the case, then they may have to complete their mission by making use of the nearest bridge to the Yukon. Alas, despite appearing to be a solution, this could prove to be a daunting task because this bridge is almost 200 miles away from them in the wrong direction. Whoever said being a miner was easy? Well, the answers came when they got to the ferry. The captain also shared Mike's nervousness when she saw the equipment that they were hoping to transport with the use of her ferry. Luckily, the suspense gave way to relief when they realized that the ferry was capable of carrying the long equipment. Now they can be on their way to their destination. Once they crossed the river with the ferry, Mike and the rest of the guys wasted no time to hit the road as they made their way to Moose Creek by crossing the top of the World Highway. The highway that is considered to be one of the northernmost highways in the world. How about that for your trivia nights?
So if I go too fast through the creek and I hit one rock with the back tire, and it gets too much of a lean, momentum and the weight, could tip my truck.
After some time, Tony and his crew assembled at the road heading to Moose Creek so that they could begin with the process of hauling Tony's new favorite toy back to Paradise Hill, which was more than 100 miles away. There is no way that they can avoid doing this, especially when they were staring at an unsuccessful season in the face. They need to get this job done if they are going to jumpstart their season to life. Despite their need to get this done as quickly as possible, Tony warns the team to be cautious as they go about their job. Everything worth doing is worth doing well after all. Once he gave them the pep talk, Tony and his team got to work doing all they can so that they could properly transport their massive new trommel. All you could hear was the roaring of machines and the crunching of dirt as the rest of the guys followed Tony's lead. Soon, Mike and the rest of the guys got to the location of the trommel. Now, they were going to get to work, moving this massive machine out of there. It wasn't going to be easy, especially as Tony wanted to get the machine back to base within the short space of time that is 3 days. He's got a ton of men and machines there. They've got to be able to pull this mission off. Well, if they were going to succeed in such a task, it looks like they may be able to do it if they followed Tony's plan. The first thing that Tony thought that they needed to do, if they were going to be successful, was to dismantle the machine totally. First, they were going to detach the conveyor, Then they were going to take the sluice box apart. After this is done, they would tackle the hopper before finally facing the massive drum that Tony was so enamored with when he came across this massive trommel.
Take the hopper out and we'll get on the hydraulics here. Okay, no, somebody else with us. You see they girded that up?
Yeah.
Then that is in one piece, so that is not going to work.
As you can imagine, the guys got to work dismantling the conveyor belt first like they planned to. This seemed to occur without any issue as the guys followed Tony's direction. Hopefully, all this effort won't be in vain. Once they were done with the conveyor, Tony decided that it may be time to call it a day so that they could end on a good note. The guys had put in quite a shift today, and apart from a cold beer and a good meal, they also deserved to finish the day on a high. Good call from a good leader. Eager to make the most of their boss's kindness, the team returned back to the roadhead where they can camp out in the bunkhouse that they set up there. The rest of them camped in their trucks. Even Tony was certain that he'd be sleeping like a baby in his truck. He's a tough man, and despite being advanced in his age, it looks like this wily old miner can still rough it out with the best of them. Heck, he even had a place in the truck to hold his shoes. Looks like this place is better than the Ritz. What was left was for him and the rest of the guys to have a good night so that they could get right back to work as early as possible the next day. Come morning, Tony and the team got right back to work. Sure, they were about 160 miles south of the Arctic Circle, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that they got this massive trommel back to Paradise Hill so that they could get to work, and they needed to do this fast. Already they were short on time because it was late in the season, and if they wasted any more time, they could get snowed in. While some may think that this may mean that they would be in the middle of beautiful weather that nature had to offer, to Tony and the rest of the crew, this meant that they would have to wait until next year before they can move their fantastic new machine, and they can't have that.
Let's get the trommel out of there, because the sooner we get that thing out, the sooner we'll go back. Anyway, when we go down the hill, pay kind of attention. It's kind of steep in places.
Not only could that put their 3,000 ounce of gold target of the season at risk, it could also mean that they were ready to leave their machine to suffer from some more damage thanks to the rust and condensation that could result from the fallen snow. They surely can't have that. Once they were reminded of what they could lose if they failed to accomplish their goals, Tony and the rest of the guys got to work. One could see how Cody made sure he cut the sluice box off properly. Once this was done, Mike used his heavy machinery to lift the sluice box away successfully. The work didn't end because now it was time to lift the 20-ton 40-foot drum so that they could get this show on the road. Boy, to be a miner. To achieve this, Tony's plan is to retract the hydraulic support so that the trommel would rest on its wheels. This would allow the team to lift the drum, which in turn would allow them to pull the frame out from underneath the drum. We thought these guys were only supposed to mine gold? Well, this task is clearly not an easy one, especially after they noticed that there was a steel plate that had been welded onto one of the legs of the machine. This was done to hold up the frame. This in turn will take off some of the pressure from the hydraulics. Well, it looked like if they were going to get anywhere with this, they were going to have to see this thing off. This wasn't a difficult decision to make, and before long, the team went to work cutting this thing off. Sure, they had to be careful so that they do not cause any damage to their equipment or themselves, but such is the nature of their work. Soon, they were reminded that this was dangerous work because as they were cutting off the steel plate, Jordan Eagles saw his life flash before his eyes when the machine adjusted to its loss of support. Luckily, everything was okay, so Tony, in his brash way, helped the team laugh the little incident off before continuing on with their work. Considering that they were 2 days into this relocation job, one can see how Tony was constantly eager to get his boys and girls going so that they could get out of there. It was actually a wonder to watch as the veteran mine boss was able to direct his team to do what they needed to do to get this work done. Thankfully, they had access to some of the best machines that money could offer, as well as some of the most skilled hands in the business. Once the machine was disassembled, Tony was delighted to see that the next phase of the project was within reach. Once they were ready, they looked set to make their way back to Paradise Hill.
And if not, well, so be it. But there's no reason why I wouldn't. I think she's a go.
I think so too.
Let's get out of here.
In order to do this, however, they had to get the drum and other parts of the trommel on the road onto the highway. In order to do this, they created parts on the pieces of the machine so that they could attach them to chains which would hold them in place as they were being transported. They needed to get this done within the space of 3 hours so that they don't have to get this done as dusk falls onto the land. Fortunately for them, things seemed to go on without a hitch, and before long, they were actually on their way. That said, they had to take care not to get over-exuberant, because if they overspend or hit any rocks or pebbles on the road, they could end up experiencing a ghastly accident. No, in this situation, slow and steady may actually win the race. One can see how dangerous this is because, as they traveled, one side of Mike's truck went up in the air. He better take his time, especially as he was yet to overcome the many miles of switchbacks that he was going to have to face if he was going to make it back home. Unfortunately, Mike would experience some problems when they came across some slushy road. Before long, his tires were rotating in the mush in the road, and as such, he found that he needed the assistance of the rest of the team.
Inside one's good, so it's just about the outside one, so I must have caught something going around a corner. By the looks of it, tore up a rim.
Once they were able to drag him out of the mess with their heavy equipment, Mike found that he was now on his way to make this trip once more. Teamwork always makes the team work. Once they overcame that obstacle, Mike and the rest of the team found that they were able to get the truck out of Moose Creek within the 3-day time limit that they gave themselves. Great job. Now the next thing to do was to get the trommel into a truck so that they could make the trip over to Paradise Hill, where they could use it to change their fortunes for the rest of the season. Can you imagine they were even able to do this before they became subject to the whim of the elements? Tony himself was clearly delighted that they were able to do it before the rain or the snow fell. As such, now that they had done the hardest part, there was nothing that could stop them from getting this machine home. Even if it eventually rained or snowed the next day, Tony believed that they were not going to let such things slow them down, and rightly so. After thanking them for their work so far, he encouraged them and rallied them to give their all to make the final stretch of this admittedly hard and tasking trip to Moose Creek. Such is the life of a hard-working mine boss and his crew. It's amazing, isn't it? Just so that they could meet their target for the season, the team had to endure the difficult task of dragging this enormous machine that was hundreds of miles away from their mines. Even if we can ignore the difficulty of making such a hard trip, we can't ignore the fact that this was still some sort of gamble, in that we hope that it would help them extract about 2,000 ounces of gold before the season is over. They had already lost about $60,000 per day as they attempted to bring this machine to their base. Let us hope that this gamble was worth it, as these guys do all they can to succeed in their gold rush. From the purchase of this innovative machine that was put together by a renegade miner, to the difficult task of dragging this massive machine for hundreds of miles so that it could help the veteran miner and his team reach their gold extracting targets for the season.
I'm really kind of curious to see what kind of values that are in this gravel. I want to take a sample out of those. You just never know. I just may get a little lucky.
In a recent episode of Gold Rush, Tony Beets, a renowned figure in gold mining, set off on a nostalgic journey to his former lucrative claim near Paradise Hill. With 3 decades of untold tales awaiting discovery, Tony's expedition promises thrilling adventures, revealing either long-sought riches or unforeseen challenges. Understanding the importance of multiple excavation sites, Tony employs the 460 excavator, a heavy-duty machine tailored for large-scale mining operations. With its robust construction and impressive digging capabilities, the 460 excavator efficiently moves vast quantities of earth and rock, crucial for Tony's ambitious project near Paradise Hill. Reflecting on Paradise Hill's history, Tony recalls their mining endeavors 3 decades ago. Faced with disposing of excavated soil, they deposited overburden, the layer covering potential pay dirt rich in gold and silver, onto a designated area of the hill. This led to the accumulation of 50,000 yards of overburden, equivalent to filling 15 Olympic-sized swimming pools, showcasing their enduring pursuit of minerals.
My mind is pretty much well made up. If we strip this and we sluice this, that could be a nice little piece, really. It's almost kind of like a piggy bank that I left behind 30 years ago.
Tony now faces the task of reshaping the mountain to access lucrative pay dirt buried within, reflecting on past excavations and strategizing to reach the desired depth. Despite the challenges, Tony remains optimistic. cheered by the favorable conditions of high gold prices and low fuel expenses, which bode well for profitability. As Tony and his team press on with their excavation efforts, their aim is to reveal the untouched virgin ground, characterized by lighter-colored, gold-laden gravels beneath the overburden. Tony exercises caution, drawing from years of experience that taught him to approach each potential discovery with a balanced perspective. Tony's assessment of the landscape combines knowledge and intuition, allowing him to determine whether excavated ground is virgin or not.
We're getting some gravel, which would be a good sign, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's virgin ground.
His keen eye spots white gravel, indicating gold's presence amidst worthless brown gravel, hinting at a lucrative pay streak. Determining its length, ranging from 10 to 40 feet, requires a methodical approach despite uncertainties. Tony remains confident in the pay streak's value, despite the need to remove 50,000 yards of overburden. He sees this excavation as akin to unlocking a forgotten piggy bank filled with millions in gold. Inviting his daughter Monica to Paradise Hill, Tony reflects on past mining activities, admitting uncertainty about their previous work's extent. Tony's expertise in assessing landscapes allows him to distinguish between excavated ground that contains gold and barren soil. As the week unfolds, Tony and his team make remarkable strides in mining the Piggy Bank Cut. The Beets family gathers to assess their achievements and tally the amount of gold extracted. Monica reveals the extensive efforts involved, with 4 rock trucks dispatched round the clock, underscoring the scale of their operations. Tony, the driving force behind the project, hopes to secure a minimum of 85 ounces to offset the excavation costs. With each gold nugget carefully weighed, the resulting total surpasses expectations, eliciting jubilation among the team as they exceed their target.
Well, we'll see.
Costs a bit to put a D10 in there for a couple of days, though. I know fuel's low right now, but it still adds up.
I know. Sometimes you gotta gamble a little bit, dude. So I'll take the chance on it.
The value of the gold extracted from the piggy bank cut exceeds $185,000, a significant sum by any measure. Although Tony had envisioned a larger haul, he acknowledges the outcome as pretty good, recognizing that mining inherently involves risks and uncertainties. Reflecting on the results, Tony emphasizes that success in mining, like any other industry, often requires taking calculated risks. Despite the challenges, he expresses contentment with the outcome, affirming his acceptance of the inherent uncertainties in the mining profession. He attributes the success of the operation to the dedication and hard work of his team, underscoring the importance of patience amidst challenges. The mining endeavors at Paradise Hill exemplify the Beets family's perseverance and resilience in pursuing their goals. Despite encountering obstacles, they triumphed through unity and determination, ultimately achieving profitability. As the mining season progresses, Tony Beets evaluates the current state of their operation, noting the promising season thus far. With gold prices ranging between $1,700 and $1,800 per ounce, Tony sees a significant opportunity for profit. He asserts that there is sufficient data supporting their ability to process economically at these price levels. Despite a delayed start to the season, Tony is confident they can make up for lost time and capitalize on the favorable market conditions. Tony's confidence is bolstered by the success of the mega cut, which he anticipates could yield up to 3,000 ounces of gold. Meanwhile, his son, Mike Beets, ensures the sluice plant operates at full capacity, processing 350 yards of pay dirt per hour. The sluice plant, essential equipment in mining operations, efficiently extracts gold from silt using a sluice box, a testament to their commitment to maximizing productivity.
See it in? Loaded with it. Look at
There's a
it.
lot of gold in there.
It's actually exciting.
Oh, you're all excited now?
Additionally, Tony explores other potential sources of rapid profits on Paradise Hill, recognizing their importance in maximizing income and meeting seasonal objectives. Despite extracting 100 ounces of gold from the piggy bank cut, Tony acknowledges the need for more to fulfill their seasonal targets. While the hunker cut yielded a significant amount, it fell short of meeting their requirements. Tony adopts a strategic approach by investigating the old-timers' tailings, remnants of previous mining activities left by miners who operated in the region before him. Fascinated by these tailings for some time, Tony believes the current high gold prices present an opportune moment to study and leverage them. On Paradise Hill, the Beets family makes a significant discovery: a substantial mound of gold-rich tailings left behind by past miners. Unlike other deposits, these tailings are conveniently accessible on the surface, requiring no removal of overburden. Tony is thrilled by this find, noting that they can simply collect the tailings and process them through the sluice plant. Having been previously sluiced, the tailings are devoid of clay and other impurities, facilitating easier processing. Given the lucrative prospects due to the high gold price and low processing costs, Tony anticipates significant additional income from processing these tailings, further enhancing their already profitable season. Monica oversees the processing of the tailings, feeding 100 yards of pay dirt per hour into the kiwi plant for treatment, ensuring a consistent material flow down the sluice. Meanwhile, Desiree, the new loader operator, diligently clears the fine tailings from the end of the sluice run, ensuring thorough separation of gold from waste material.
So I think it'd be worth the venture. What do you guys think?
At least check it out, see what's in there.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Run some tests with a little trommel maybe?
Yep.
And then we'll just take it from there.
Monica discusses the potential of the old-timer cut, expressing optimism about maximizing productivity with additional pumps, although currently, only the trommel is operational. However, progress at the mining plant hits a setback when Desiree collides with an object, causing equipment damage and prompting a shutdown. Tony Beets underscores the severity of the situation, highlighting that each hour the mill remains out of service equates to nearly $2,000 in losses. Kevin Beets, a crucial member of the Beets family, known for his mechanical expertise, quickly arrives to assess the damage and identify the root cause of the problem. Following a thorough examination, Kevin determines that the issue stems from the operator accidentally hooking the cable with the bucket while in motion, causing a beam to be dragged forward and creating a twist in the run. To rectify the problem, Kevin proposes straightening the bent bar and adjusting the angle on the run, tasks requiring precision and technical knowledge. Despite the repair process taking longer than expected, resulting in 8 hours of downtime for the facility, the crew eventually resumes operations once the repairs are completed. Monica expresses particular enthusiasm for the potential of the old-timer cut, recalling their initial sluicing efforts before the technical difficulty arose and eagerly anticipating the results now that the issue has been resolved. With the plant back in operation, the crew focuses on ramping up productivity and making up for lost time. Kevin shares Monica's excitement, expressing curiosity about the findings from the old-timer cut and the possibility of uncovering overlooked treasures.
Hey man, if you're running, that is good.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the effectiveness of the tiny trommel in the past and remains optimistic about recovering a substantial amount of gold. As the trommel drum rotates, agitating the material inside, smaller particles fall through the holes, while larger particles are retained and transported to the end of the trommel, illustrating the mechanics of the processing operation. This method effectively separates precious gold from the surrounding material. With the plant operational again, the team diligently processes the material from the old-timer cut, carefully analyzing each scoop of dirt to segregate gold from unusable material. Despite the labor-intensive and meticulous nature of the operation, the crew remains steadfast in their goal of maximizing gold recovery. Throughout the day, the plant runs smoothly without encountering further technical issues. On Paradise Hill, the Beets family convenes to assess Tony's treasure hunt among the old-timers' tailings. Before delving into the results, they weigh the gold recovered by passing pay soil through Mike's trommel in the mega cut. Tony aims for a season target of 3,000 ounces, equivalent to 177 ounces per week. However, they fall short, yielding only 160.43 ounces, valued at $287 per ounce. Transitioning to the old-timers' tailings, Monica details the challenges they faced, including a shutdown and loader issues. Despite setbacks, they managed to run the plant for 4 hours. Tony typically aims for 1 ounce of gold per 100 yards, but with these tailings, he anticipates making a profit with only half that amount. Tony expresses contentment with 1 or 2 ounces from the 400 yards, but the actual outcome exceeds his expectations. After weighing the gold extracted from the tailings, they uncover a total of 4.22 ounces valued at $7,400, validating Tony's suspicions regarding the potential of the old-timers' tailings. The family rejoices in the results, deeming it a successful endeavor.
So an ounce an hour there again, eh?
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that, you know?
No.
If you can run that every day,
The old girl still produces.
absolutely.
The success of the old-timers' tailings serves as a source of inspiration for the Beets family, motivating them to further explore the region for additional opportunities. Satisfied with the outcome, they express their intent to continue their activities in the area. However, the following day at Paradise Hill, they encounter a significant setback as they assess the damage to their trommel. To fully assess the extent of the damage, Tony's crew must undertake the labor-intensive task of removing the trommel. Tony instructs Mike to begin by raising the trommel, maneuvering the conveyor out of the way before lifting the 40-ton barrel. Kevin acknowledges the challenges involved in disassembling and moving the trommel, noting that it has not been moved in over a decade. He remains hopeful that once the barrel is on the ground, they can better evaluate the damage and determine if it can be repaired. Their immediate priority is securely removing the barrel from its current position, which Mike accomplishes with cautious handling. Upon closer inspection, Kevin discovers concerning issues with the trommel, including 80% of the wedges being broken and cracks in the rings, one of which is on the verge of snapping off. He emphasizes that the trommel cannot be used in its current condition, as a snapped-off portion would render it unusable. The news is disheartening for Tony and his team, as the trommel is a crucial equipment for their mining operation. Without it, their ability to process pay dirt and extract gold is severely hampered. Tony acknowledges the severity of the problem and recognizes that repairing or replacing the trommel will require significant time, effort, and resources.
Let's take the hopper out and we'll get on the hydraulics here. Okay, no, somebody else with us. You see they screwed that up?
Yeah.
Then that is in one piece, so that is not going to work.
Despite this setback, they remain determined to achieve their seasonal target of 3,000 ounces and are committed to overcoming this challenge to continue their successful mining operation at Paradise Hill. As the Beets family evaluates the damage to the trommel, Tony considers repair options. He suggests that with 4 or 5 welders, they could quickly resolve the issue, but Kevin points out the shortage of available welders. Tony then proposes utilizing 2 welders, one on each side, but Kevin dismisses the idea due to the lack of manpower before the season's end. Tony expresses dissatisfaction, questioning if they will have to halt their mining efforts. Kevin's response is disheartening, as he acknowledges the limited staff and time remaining in the season, making it impossible to repair the trommel in time to meet their objectives. After a season of diligently maintaining every machine on the hill, Kevin reflects on the challenges they faced, admitting that despite their best efforts, they have reached a point where overcoming the obstacles ahead seems impossible. He expresses concern about their ability to conduct a proper cleanup at the end of the season, as the trommel is crucial for processing pay dirt and extracting gold. As the mining season draws to a close, Ruby and cousin Mike join the Beets family for the final gold weigh of the season. Despite the challenges, Ruby acknowledges that they had a highly successful season overall. The family gathers around the scale, prepared to witness the results of their efforts and dedication. However, their aspirations are thwarted when the trommel malfunctions before they can sluice the entire payload, impacting their ambitions for setting a new season record. Tony sets a goal of reaching 400 ounces to break the 5,000-ounce season record. After careful counting, Mike delivers the final tally: 694.02 ounces, valued at $1.2 million. The glory hole exceeds expectations, yielding the greatest gold haul of the season and propelling the Beets family to new heights.
It's all pocket money, man. I think this is pretty slick. I'm very happy with this, very happy with this.
Their total gold tally for the season reaches an astounding 5,295 ounces, shattering their previous record and marking their first $9 million season. Tony expresses his delight, emphasizing his satisfaction with the outcome. Reflecting on their success, Mike and Kevin, now in leadership roles as head of cutting and chief mechanic, have played crucial roles in Tony Beets' achievements. Their dedication, perseverance, and astute decision-making have all contributed to the family's prosperous season. Looking ahead, the Beets family plans a trip to Mexico, eagerly anticipating a change of scenery and a well-deserved break after a demanding season. They look forward to enjoying the pleasant weather and resting before gearing up for the upcoming mining season. 1 month later, a gold miner approaches Tony Beets seeking to borrow equipment. Tony, noticing that their 25-ton kiwi plant has been idle and rusting all season, sees an opportunity and decides to rent it out to the miner at Dominion Creek, 20 miles away. Tony gathers his top staff from the 80-pup cut to undertake the task. They begin by securing the plant with chains to ensure stability during transportation. However, as Mike loads the plant onto trucks and begins transportation, it unexpectedly shifts and falls off the platform. To salvage the situation and ensure the secure transportation of the plant, Tony decides to utilize a pair of loaders. What was initially anticipated to be a straightforward and profitable 4-hour task has now transformed into a more challenging and time-consuming endeavor.
Hook that piece of chain to the other end of the chain. Okay, Nick, bail out. So all they gotta do is we got chain hooked down to the top. Both loaders are gonna back up. Once it tips over, they'll catch it with the bucket. Anyway.
Tony remarks on the unfortunate turn of events, highlighting the fact that they now have a $300,000 piece of equipment lying on its side, showcasing the stark contrast between its profit potential and the current predicament. Mike explains that the incident occurred when he was traveling at a modest speed of 13 km/h, and one of the chains snapped, causing the kiwi plant to slide off the track. The miner who intended to rent the equipment appears visibly surprised, as he had expected to receive it in one piece. To rectify the situation, operator Brandon Carr joins Mike in the loaders under Tony's guidance. They work together to flip the fallen plant back upright, with Tony directing them to secure one end of a chain to the plant and the other to the loaders. Gradually and cautiously, they lift the plant upright using both loaders positioned on either side, with Tony closely monitoring the procedure to ensure safety. After several tense moments, they successfully turn the plant upright. Tony then instructs them to remove the chain and relocate the plant to the center of the road. This strategic decision allows them to access the plant from both sides, facilitating its loading onto the truck. Tony's precise instructions guide the crew as they carefully maneuver the plant into position. Once it's centered on the road, Tony directs them to use the scissor neck for loading onto the truck. With meticulous care, they load the kiwi plant, ensuring it's securely in place before transport. After successfully loading the plant, Tony opts to adjust the chain slightly higher than before for added security, which proves to be effective as they transport it to Shane's Dominion Creek claim without incident. Despite the 8-hour journey from Paradise Hill to the claim, the kiwi plant arrives safely. At the claim, Tony oversees the team as they gently unload the plant from the truck. Despite the shipping challenges, Tony commends the team's efforts and the successful delivery. While acknowledging their aim of reaching 5,000 ounces for the year, he also recognizes the limited time left in the season.
I mean, that's pretty encouraging, guys. That should make one difference.
That's awesome.
Nice little haul.
However, Tony remains confident in their chances, particularly with their focus on 2 major cuts on Paradise Hill that have already yielded significant results. Expressing his belief that there may be more to be found, he emphasizes the straightforward process of scooping up the soil, placing it in the sluice box, and extracting the gold. As mining activity intensifies at Paradise Hill, Tony stresses the need for at least 2 trucks to maximize income. With efficiency in mind, he initiates the trommel, signaling the start of another day of hard work for the staff. Eric, in particular, is focused on swiftly and effectively removing the tailings to avoid any operational delays, paying close attention to avoid collisions, especially with the trommel. Despite Eric's efforts, a problem arises when the trommel gets stuck. Eric promptly notifies Mike, who instructs the staff to temporarily shut down the plant to prevent further damage. Tony is quickly informed of the issue and rushes to the location to assess the situation. As the team at Paradise Hill deals with the crucial issue with the trommel, Kevin, the chief mechanic, examines the situation and expresses concern that if the problem is severe, they may need to shut down the entire operation. The issue has caused a holdup, affecting the trommel, 2 excavators, and a rock truck, all critical to the mining process. Kevin's technical expertise shines as he identifies the problem: a faulty O-ring, a small rubber ring essential for sealing the tubing that delivers hydraulic fluid to the excavator arm. A fractured O-ring causes hydraulic fluid to leak, leading to a loss of pressure and paralysis of the excavator boom. Kevin swiftly repairs the O-ring with precision, restoring the excavator to smooth operation, much to the crew's relief. After a challenging week of frozen ground and closures in the Swallow Cut, Tony Beets is eager to determine if their efforts at the piggy bank will pay off. However, the team reports a lower than expected amount of gold, putting pressure on their season goal of 5,000 ounces. Tony needs 260 ounces from the piggy bank to meet this target, but they only retrieve 78.7 ounces. Tony expresses dissatisfaction with the results but acknowledges the ups and downs of mining, emphasizing the need to continue maximizing productivity. The following day, Tony reports that the pump is still down, preventing gold extraction. With the pumps still inactive, the crew faces a significant challenge as they cannot sluice, resulting in a loss of gold production. To address the issue, Tony decides to transport the new 11-ton megapump to the sluice pond. This task is critical, and Tony ensures that the pump is lifted and delivered safely to resolve the problem. Throughout the mining season at Paradise Hill, Tony Beets and his team face numerous challenges and setbacks. Despite technical problems, logistical issues, and the pressure to meet their ambitious goal of 5,000 ounces of gold, they persevere with determination and dedication. Tony's strategic thinking and innovative ideas play a significant role in their success as they navigate unexpected gold finds in old-timers' tailings and leverage opportunities like glory holes. Despite failures, they break their record gold objective, achieving over 5,000 ounces for the season. As the season concludes, they reflect on their adventure, grateful for their successes and optimistic for the future.